African leaders here have been reacting to his win as president. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated Mr. Trump on his win, congratulating Americans also on their choice of a new president. President Buhari says he looks forward to working with Mr. Trump to strengthen the already established friendly relations between Nigeria and the United States. He said the other relations include foreign policy priorities such as the fight against terrorism, peace and security, economic growth, democracy and good governance. Congratulatory messages also coming from Egyptian leader Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, saying he hopes Mr. Trump's victory will unleash a new era of closer ties with Washington, with more cooperation and coordination in the interests of both the Egyptian and American people. From all the way Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta congratulating Donald Trump for his victory in the campaign, saying the results show the American people have spoken clearly. He's optimistic that the ties that bind Kenya and the United States of America are based on the values of democracy, the rule of law, and the equality of peoples. They come from Southern Africa, with President Jacob Zuma looking forward to work with President-elect Trump to build on the strong relations that exist between South Africa and the United States. There will be more of those congratulatory messages later on in the day. But an expert in globalization and international relations, Professor Nwankwo Martins, believes the emergence of Donald Trump as the 45th president-elect of the United States will have a positive impact on Nigeria's socio-political landscape. Professor Nwankwo Martins, who heads the Department of History and International Relations at the Imo State University, however, believes that Mr. Trump's presidency may not bring better economic interests to Nigeria. The associate professor says, as a businessman, Mr. Trump's leaning towards Jews may push Nigeria to consider doing more business with the Russians and the Chinese. On the president-elect's policies on immigration, the professor says he does not believe Mr. Trump will carry out his threat.
My fear is it won't bring more economic interest to Nigeria because he's a very shrewd businessman. Being a shrewd businessman, he will be more interested in doing business with the Jews, not Africans. That's the only place I feel there may be a vacuum in the Nigeria-US economic relations. But politically and socially, it's positive, absolutely positive. But the fear now is also it will move Nigeria closer to China and Russia, but not to the US as it's supposed to be. In fact, it will give China an upper hand, and also Russia a super upper hand. Yes, to come into Nigerian economy fully, especially in oil, gas, and power. That the US don't give loans. The US as a state don't give loans. AIDS. And these AIDS are always attached with one string or the other. The Chinese could give and the Russians could give. But I promise you one thing. Having heard Mr. Trump talk about deporting Africans, deporting Latinos, sending the Muslim people back home, closing Mexico border, every core American wants to hear that. But he won't do it. He won't do it. Americans depend on the economy of these migrant people to survive.
From one university down to another, Dr. David Aworowo joins me now for more on the analysis on the Trump presidency. Dr. Aworowo, thank you so much for joining us on the program. You're one of the few people, one of the many, I would say, who was shocked when the results eventually declared Donald Trump winner of the U.S. presidential elections. You never saw this coming, did you?
I never did. I never saw it coming. I mean, all the predictions, indicated that Clinton was going to win and win soundly.
And that surprise, are you also further surprised by Donald Trump's acceptance speech, where we see a much calmer Donald Trump, we see a much more presidential Donald Trump, and the things he says, working together with countries that are willing to work with the United States and so on? What does that say to you?
Well, that was always expected. In the heat of election campaigns, in the heat of trying to get support, in the heat of trying to key into people's desires, so many things are said. that will never see light of day after, elections are over. So it wasn't so surprising that Trump maintained the posture he maintained, in his his speech after Clinton called him to, congratulate him. How far he goes is what nobody can tell. And how far he goes in, being calm, in, coming to the world of reality, because the world he painted to win the election is the world of illusion. And how far he goes in, keeping up with the world of reality will determine how successful he will be. Will also determine, how much the United States will drift or not drift, and how much the rest of the world will be impacted, by his presidency.
Let's talk a little about that, how much the rest of the world will be impacted by a Trump presidency. A lot of world leaders had, I think, secretly hoped that Hillary Clinton, who is a more familiar face and of a more familiar era, would be president of the United States. But now they have to deal with Mr. Trump. How do you see that playing out over the next 4 years?
Well, in the immediate, the shock remains, and everybody's trying to see how to figure out how to deal with Trump. Apart from Russia, almost every other country of the world, including Mexico, United Kingdom, everybody else, wanted Clinton to win because they found Clinton as, someone who is more comfortable, who is calmer, who understands national politics better, who understands the dynamics of interstate and all of that. So everybody's trying to come to terms with, Trump being the president of the United States and president-elect now. That's in the immediate. But moving forward, people have to work with Trump. And as I said before, since we know the position of the United States in global politics, so what Trump does or fails to do will not only affect the U.S. but the rest of the world. And like I also said before, the extent to which he accepts the reality of a global politics. I mean, the world we live in now is not the world that will accept the kind of exclusiveness he preached to win the election. It's a world that, mutual interdependence is the key thing. So how much is able to live in line with that reality and not the illusion or the picture painted to win the election will determine, America's position in global affairs and, of course, how the rest of the world will perceive the United States and work with it.
Do you think that's one of the things that he spoke about during his campaigns? Do you think there's things that he could actually carry out? For example, a lot of immigrants are afraid that Donald Trump will deport them from the United States and probably prevent more those who want to live the American dream. He'll probably prevent them from coming into the U.S.
Well, it's clear that he won't be able to, implement most of the things he said. Even the logistics of trying to, round up all those who are in the U.S. illegally, and then the mechanism to take them out of the U.S. or wherever they came from, according to him, it simply will not be practicable. But one thing is central. Yeah. The fact that he would limit immigrants coming to the United States. He would make it difficult, if not impossible, to, give a safe haven to those who are living in the U.S. who might have got citizenship moving forward. All of those things will be a lot more difficult than they were before. And while he might not be able to ban all Muslims from coming to the U.S. as he preached before in the course of the elections, he will certainly do a couple of things to limit the ease with which Muslims come to the U.S. moving forward. So a Trump presidency will not do exactly what Trump said he would do before the election, but the core ideal that Trump stood for, which is exclusiveness, America.
Dr. Awarawu, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa. Appreciate your analysis today on the issue. And, well, that's Network Africa. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani.